I
What do
agree
you think
with
about
you.
that, Uno-san?
I agree with you. How about Ed? How do you think about that? Very few information from overseas about Japan. COVID-19 was just only simply one example. They are not thinking Japanese people or Japanese politicians, government, everything else. They just out of scope. This is the same as 100 years ago. How do you think?
Well, I can't argue with that.
So now going back
I
100
mean-
years ago, just we're going to start again. Just why just involvement World War II war, Japan was. At that time, Japan was so isolated, right?
Right.
It means from now on, 20 years later, 30 years later, Japan will going to start another waging war.
I don't think that is.
That they don't have remain the kind of power already, right?
No.
Yes, China is getting bigger. Exactly, right.
I don't think so.
So it means
It's more likely that they will further retreat. That's the most likely course of action.
so I want to lead in this discussion how Japanese people, how we're going to, or how Japanese people going to wear. What is the future like ideal, positioning we can get in the world?
My friends told me Japanese culture is a really specific one, so we can export the Japanese culture.
Oh, Ed gone.
No, I'm still here. I'm going to move because you're going to get seasick.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get coffee from the coffee maker,
Okay,
but I'm
okay.
still here.
Yano, continue.
Oh, so like in Japanese food culture or every Japanese culture is a really, how can I say, detail, like shadow tea way, or we have a many way. So some friends told me probably we can exporting our culture and expanding the culture, Japanese culture in the world, and we can get money from there. But I'm not sure. But 3 weeks ago we talked about something like that after coronavirus, COVID-19. So yeah, I wanted to invite her to the Uno school, but the COVID-19 is expanding in Japan, so it's going to be difficult to come office and the speaking with face-to-face. So
Little bit more explanation. I think what you're talking about, Japanese food culture. We try to export those culture.
Yeah, food culture or
What is it?
Way, we have a many detail culture, small culture, right?
Like how to make sushi.
例えば
Or how to make a tea.
Huh?
Sado.
Or sado. You mean how to make sushi?
How to make flower, Japanese style
Flower decoration. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a many, how can I say, like small
Deep culture.
how can I say? It's kind of way, right?
Deep culture.
Yeah, deep culture. Yeah, animation.
Mental, kind of attitude. Mental attitude.
Yes.
But Yano-san, question.
Yes.
For in the eyes of most Westerners, that's very nice, maybe to experience when they're here on holiday. But within the proper cultural context, so for exporting it would be more like a gimmick, not like like isolated from the entire cultural context. Do you think it would really become a hit outside of Japan?
Actually, I'm not sure, but we can try. I have never been to Poland, but some Polish really like Japanese culture. Well, Russian is too. So.
Yeah, but Russia is especially manga culture that's very popular now.
Oh, really? I think Russian, especially manga culture, I don't know. They like the Japanese manga culture? Or,
I understand something about Ed said how overseas people appreciate Japanese tea ceremony. Right? Tea ceremony, drink tea, so what? Flower ceremony is something, flower is special artistic, right? Maybe they're going to have event, flower decoration might be impact for overseas people, but tea ceremony, I think nothing for them.
For example, tea ceremony. But,
No. What I'm saying is tea ceremony itself, we have deep culture, okay?
Yeah.
Heavy history we have, but very difficult to persuade overseas people what is tea ceremony.
Exactly. If you don't have the cultural awareness, it's just like visiting a shrine without having any religious context. It's just a construction that's interesting to visit, but after that, that's why so many people get temple fatigue when they are traveling through Japan. There's too many temples because there is no historical awareness, and you can't put it into a bigger picture. It's like visiting churches in Europe. For most Japanese, that's a beautiful building, but if you are aware of the importance of the church, the way that these buildings were financed, the role of church relative to the kings, etc., it gets a much more rich experience. So I'm afraid that if you are just going to export like sado or many other elements of Japanese culture, it's interesting, but I wouldn't just take miracles from it.
Okay, and tea ceremony, I'll give you one example, okay? Tea ceremony core issue is we get together, okay? Very small space. This is just only once I met with you, not again. This is a tea ceremony's core concept. Only now is a very important point. We are spending time. This is tea ceremony. Just only now. This is important, but we don't see you again. But we must be considered how important meeting people to understand each other. This is tea ceremony concept.
It's kind of a mindset.
Mindset.
Yeah, a little bit different culture.
Just Ed, we discussed about now, the article of the now, right?
Yes.
That's it. Not the past, not future. Tea ceremony is focused on now. So this is the concept.
Is that why it's called wabi-sabi?
Yeah, that's now. Wabi-sabi now. Now, not past, not future. This is very important. So how do you survive? How do you live up now? This is tea ceremony.
Mindset.
Actually, the parallel with our previous discussion about history comes up. Like history in itself, only learning the facts, the dates, is not interesting. But actually having a total context, thinking about history in its economic context, in its social context, in its in all the other layers that are relevant in history makes it interesting.
What do you want to say?
I want to say that basically, so I was talking about the idea of actually exporting Japanese tea ceremony as a something that would be of interest in the Western country. I'm not so sure whether that would be a good idea.
Yeah, if we're going to export tea ceremony, it's just my opinion is how do you define that now?
Yeah, it's possible as part of Japanese culture, as Chinese boys trying to export their culture, like Confucius school. But they have the bigger vision behind exporting that school culture to overseas.
Confucianism
So
is yes. Sorry.
What after exporting the tea culture as part of Japanese culture, what follows next? Will be, I think, is the question.
So what would be?
Yeah, that's part of the core question. So everyone knows who is dealing with something Chinese, knows well about what Chinese is doing. It's too obvious, but sometimes you'll be able to deal with that too obvious intention.
What do you mean? I don't understand, Takashi. What do you mean?
So we don't have big picture even in
We mean Japanese.
common culture. So just the exporting the culture and to let the other people outside of Japan well aware of how Japanese culture is, then what next is the question, and what Japanese haven't been doing yet.
But it's like we were talking before, Takashi, I think it's very difficult because on a very deep and fundamental level, we have such a different framework, different way of viewing the reality, that it's kind of hard to share this context. I think the American video that we were seeing, the war propaganda movie, that was very interesting in the way that it actually went into very depth into trying to find an explanation as to, or at least their explanation as to what defines Japan, what are their objectives. They really needed to explain about society, culture, education. All these elements were brought in because we have no clue. We really don't understand where they're coming from. They were trying to create some context in order to make people believe that they understand Japanese society through their viewpoint. But if you don't get this kind of buy-in from people, they don't take ownership of the ideas. But a lot of people, I believe, that after watching this movie thought that they understood something. They had been educated in the way that the Japanese work.
So, but let's keep that.
So the point is basically, it's not easy to make this kind of connectivity because I believe that the way that Westerners view the world is so fundamentally different than that Japanese people view the world, that there is a very big potential for miscommunication. And that miscommunication is very easily misunderstood as, okay, this person on the other end, they have no clue. they have no clue. No, it's not that they don't have a clue. They have a different perspective, a different mindset. The way that the chemical processes work in their brain, it takes a little different route than it takes than the route taken inside the minds of a Western person. This is part of culture, part of history, and in very large part of education.
So
Yeah.
I don't clearly understand what's your point.
The point is that, so we are talking about why do people not ask Japanese? Why is there the potential for miscommunication? Why is there why is it that we cannot export our tea culture maybe to other parts of the world? Basically there is just a very big cultural gap, but that is when you become aware of it, it's much more fundamental than you would think at first sight. Because it took me some while to actually get to know myself after coming to Japan. Only after I've been in Japan for a couple of years, I started to become aware of my own thinking patterns, because I thought they were not my own thinking patterns. I thought that everybody was thinking the same way. And it's actually the way that I've been taught, the way that I've been educated, that shaped my thinking. But I never questioned that as being maybe a unique perspective. I just thought that everybody was thinking the same way. And it's just not true.
What is different?
And because there are
What is the difference among you and Japanese?
What's the difference? Well, okay. So for example, what we were just discussing about the fact that why do people not ask about the corona approach from Japan, or what we were discussing about what was the war plan of Japan in the 1940s. It's the same thing. Basically, Westerners, they want to have a clear story, and for them a clear story is, okay, these are our objectives. We want to achieve this and that by this and this date, and these are the steps we're going to take, and these are the resources we're going to allocate, and we're going to divide those resources, and we're going to set these milestones, and then we're going to allocate those people, and they're going to execute according to plan. That's not. So if you are discussing with a Westerner, this is what they think. So first they want to know, what are your objectives? A lot of people in Japan probably cannot answer that immediately. Their objective is to basically make things better. So they start working on something, and then they gradually migrate. They're moving into a certain direction, but that's not already clear what that direction should lead to in 5 years from now. They haven't thought about that. So if you expect this, okay, so they don't even know what their objectives are. So that's end of discussion.
You mean everything vague?
Yeah. There's no, because if you don't know your ultimate goal, if you don't know where you want to go, then you certainly are not capable of explaining your strategy, how to get there. So there is no point in discussing. For a Western person, that's the end of it. Okay, so they have no clue. Okay, then why would I bother and discussing with the Japanese? Because in their framework of thinking, in their reality, that's how you tackle any problem. That's how you analyze anything you want to achieve in life. That's why so many Westerners live in not in the now, but they're living in the future. They are anxious about, okay, how are we going to get there? Are we on track in getting where we want to be? That's why there was a necessity for this. The power of now, and becoming more still and more aware of today's reality, and getting some kind of satisfaction out of that.
The power of now approach is different. The
Yes.
Japanese and Westerners.
Mm.
Is it the same at the national level, the business level, and personal level?